Oh, welcome to the Shotway Show. So happy to have you with me this evening. A little bit past 7 p.m. on the East Coast, and you're saying, "Wait a minute, Larry, is this two shows in 1 week?" I know I have been insanely lazy. No, busy. Well, and both. I've been both lazy and busy these last couple of weeks. I know I have not been jumping up and down, but now I am here again on a Friday evening. I know some of you want to go out and party, but that's okay. Unless you're an old man like me, you party later. So you can come here and watch me for a little bit. It's fine. I'll be here for a while talking to somebody who I usually don't talk to people as local as this is. I do sometimes, right? I've had my assemblyman on. I've had a couple people here locally on. But here I wanted to bring on somebody who is from kind of where I'm from, the BX borough. Yes, Bronx, New York. Talking about what's going on in the Bronx, what's real in the Bronx. And you might say to yourself, Larry, I don't live in the Bronx. What do I care? I don't live in the Bronx. Let me tell you why. Because the Bronx is a microcosm of neighborhoods throughout the country. It is a very good idea of what is happening through a lot of poor neighborhoods, particularly those who've been depressed for decades throughout the country. I'm bringing on a community advocate, the one, the only, Lattina Brown. How are you?
Hi, Larry. Thank you so much for having me on, and Happy New Year to you and your family.
Happy New Year. Absolutely. And I guess the piece that, if you want to see what she's doing, you can head over to the description on both YouTube and Facebook, and you can see that she actually has her link tree is there. If you want to check her out, following her on Twitter if you like, or wherever else you might want to follow her. You, Latina, you're from the Bronx now. You actually were born, if I remember right, you were actually from Manhattan originally, right? And then moved to the Bronx many years ago.
Born in Harlem, and then I moved to the Bronx over almost 16 years ago.
Yes, we are similar in that story. I was born in Manhattan too. I was born in St. Vincent's Hospital.
Oh, okay.
That's where I was born.
St. Luke's.
A couple years before you. And then I moved to the Bronx when I was 2 years old. I actually moved to 901 Walton Avenue, which is right by Yankee Stadium, right by the
In my area.
There we go, right there. And I think the funny thing about it is the Bronx was very depressed back then too. And it still is now. And this is
True.
almost 50 years, and it's very depressed. In fact, for most who don't know this, in New York State, the Bronx is the poorest county in the entire state.
It
People
is.
think that maybe it's upstate New York, maybe a farming like a Wyoming County or Allegheny County, some poor farming district in New York State. It's not. It's New York City. It's the Bronx, and the richest county, of course, is Manhattan, right next to it. So literally, it's a massive dichotomy here. Tell me, you saw this, Latina, and you decided you wanted to run. Why did you want to run for office?
You know, that's a very good question, and I appreciate you for asking me. As you well know, I'm a mom. I'm a community advocate. What prompted me to run for office is because of the same old, lines, scripted lines being told by the Democrats. I saw that in the South Bronx in particular, there was a huge increase in crimes,
Yep.
drug usage, open air drug use. You think that this
Yes.
is bad today? I mean, back then it was just getting started. Things was just getting heated up. The lack of respect for our law enforcement, the lack of respect for our veterans, housing issues. And I'm like, here we are, we have, the Democrats who basically have the local city seats. They have the
Yes.
state seats. They have the congressional seats. Why do we have a high population of homeless families and veterans and seniors?
Yes.
So I got to a point where I said, enough is enough. We have a younger generation that basically they look up to us, and we want them to have, a safe, steady, equitable future. And it's up to us to fix this. And, that's what made me decide to run for office. And
Well, I
I
like
knew.
what you did, because the reason why I say it is my family left,
Mhm.
right? My family said, we're not going to deal with it. We packed up and we left. And while I still feel connected to the Bronx doesn't feel connected to me because I haven't lived there in so long. But I
Yeah.
remember growing up as a kid. I remember when Yankee Stadium was on the other side of the street. I remember those
I
days.
remember that.
Yes. So back in those days, we just got upset and said, we're done. We're going to pack up and go. But you didn't do that. And the reason why I like it is it's one of the same reasons why I ran for governor. I was going to leave New York State. And then I said, you know what? No, I'm going to fix my state. That's what I said. You same thing. Sadly, though, you came up against a similar thing. The machine shut me down. The machine kind of shut you down too. Tell me about that.
When I announced that I was going to run, it was, and I'm pretty sure you've been through the same situation, Larry, where, they'll try to, discourage you from running, or they'll try to, bully you. It was a lot of things that was being done behind the scenes that, that didn't stop me from wanting to run. If anything, it pushed me even harder. It made me want to run even more. Because I'm like, well, if you don't want me to run for office against the incumbent, there's something there. There's a problem. So there was nothing they can do to stop me except smear me and, bully me. And, to me, I take it as a badge of honor. My daughter, she sees that her mom is out there doing the work in the community. I could have just given up, but I didn't want to because, I have a community. I do have a base, and I'm grateful for that. A lot of people look up to me. A lot of people respect the fact that I stood my own ground. I didn't cave into the establishment, and I didn't bend the knee. So there's something that needs to be fixed, and it's our responsibility to fix it as advocates, as mothers, fathers, grandparents, veterans, seniors. It is our job.
Look, how do you get someone who is sitting here saying, I want to help out? Let me give you, Mike Voss is on the line, and he actually says, he's watching, he says, current New York government is full of people that don't care. I asked about a potential healthcare issue. Not one elected official has responded in over 48 hours. People hear that all the time. Or part of me thinks it's worse. I'm not sure which is worse. Someone gives you some kind of lip service and nothing changes. And, they talk, oh, we care. So I don't know which is worse, ignoring you or lying to you. They're both bad, but surely it makes people feel like, why bother, right?
I think that over the years, we do have a majority of Democrats in office. I think that their pride in the sense of, lack of respect for the constituents has gone out the window. I think we need to bring back integrity and respect because, once upon a time, a long time ago, we had leaders in office, and they're gone now, who actually cared, who showed some type of consideration for our veterans and for our seniors and for constituents' concerns. Today's elected officials, there's zero respect. There's zero respect. There's a lack of care in the world. And I think that people see that now, and it's like now people are just fed up. And I was once, back in the days, I was one of those voters that said, hey, I'm going to vote for this person because this person is a person of color. This person is a Democrat, and not paying attention to the agenda and what they're trying to push. And we need more voter outreach, voter education, educating the voters and telling 100%. Them, hey, don't just vote for this person because they're Democrat. What is this person actually doing? Don't reelect this person. What has this person done to benefit your respective districts?
I got to tell you, this part drives me crazy. It's not that I don't like, women, Black people, gay people, all the rainbow being able to be elected. I think that's amazing. But the problem is we're now doing it because of that. That's the problem, right? The idea that, it's because the person is a woman or because she's a person of color. That's why. And we see it, I think, if I remember, I think it was Minneapolis, St. Paul, I think in Minnesota. They had the first all-woman city council, I think, or something like that. And they were promoting it as this is a great thing, an all-woman thing. And I thought to myself, shouldn't we say that after they achieve something? Right? Isn't that's great? I'm not against all women. Great. I don't care. Women can run the whole city. Fine. As long as they do the right thing, I don't care. Right? Good. And I would think you would want to wait until they achieve something and then say, see, women are awesome and cool. They've achieved this cool thing. But they didn't. They just said the idea of being in charge, that's the win. How is my life better?
And it's not. I feel like, particularly the Black voters, we've been brainwashed for so long to just,
Yes.
vote down the line. And then we complain about it later on. We complain, oh, this elected is not responding to our calls, or this elected is not responding to my emails, or this elected refused to sit down and meet with me. Mind you, that their district office is paid for with our tax dollars. And you mean to tell me I'm not important enough for you to sit down and have a conversation with me to hear my concerns? That there's something very wrong here. And it's time. I think that now it's at a point where we're now entering 2024 and people are just tired and fed up. And I think it's mostly the Black community. The Black community have a habit of jumping in everybody else's fight, but we don't fight for ourselves. And that is a fact.
Yes.
That is
yes. I see it all the time. I see it all the time. And then again, in the end, what are we doing here? We're in the same spot we were always in. But I think there's a gender issue here too in the Black community. You tell me if I'm wrong here. But I feel like Black women compared to Black men, there's no monolith. But I'm saying as a percentage, Black women compared to Black men, I think Black women are still more in the no, gotta stay Democrat, gotta stay the old way, compared to more men who are like, I'm going Trump, I don't care. I'm going Trump, whatever, I'm out. I don't care, or I'm not voting, or whatever. Do you feel that, or is it just me?
I think it's more, I do agree with you. It's mostly the older Black women. I feel like it's some. I feel like the millennials and Generation Z, because we're moms, we're parents, and I feel like now we're starting to see beyond the scripted lies that they continue to tell us. I think we're starting to see beyond the chickens and potatoes that they've been giving us every 2 to 4 years whenever they're running for whatever seat that they're running for. And when you have responsibilities at home and you start to feel the burden of the policies that they continue to push into our communities that's impacting us in a negative way, and it impacts our family, it's a wake-up call. It's like, what are we doing here? It's like, do I want to continue living in this district under this leadership and putting my family through so much? So I think it's just, once again, all about, educating yourselves and going through it. Most of the older generation, the older women who are just stuck on being, just voting down the Democrat party line, I think it's just them being, they're old school. They're not really paying attention to the policies that's being pushed in the community, because, some of them are living in a senior citizen home, or they're living with, so they're not feeling it as much as we are. I'm not going to take away from our seniors. I love my senior citizens to death, but I'm only speaking on some who don't see what we see. So let
me bring up what Joe says. Joe says, I had great conversations with Black women during my campaigns. By the way, Joe lives in Florida. He ran for Congress in Florida.
Hi, Joe.
Very open-minded and ask good questions. Let me ask you, Joe, and please, Lynn, you can talk to this while I ask him. Joe, was there a difference in age, right? Were older women more stuck? Were younger women more open-minded, or did it not matter? Did age not matter? Lattina, go ahead.
Well, I feel in Harlem, let me speak about Harlem. The senior citizens out there in Harlem take no mess. Okay.
Oh, okay.
I feel there's a difference between the Black senior citizens in Harlem versus the Bronx senior citizens. And when I tell you, if you come to them and say, hey, there's a progressive candidate, they're going to look at you and slam the door in your face, because because they have been done such a disservice by some of the elected officials. We had a few in office who, were not, on point when it came to representing their respective district. I'm not going to mention this person's name, but this individual did not put, their heart and soul into the community. It was more about, photo ops and more about, pandering to the far left. And this person neglected most of her constituents, and her constituents were mostly seniors. So it was like they were done at this point. And I think they're done with the president that we have in office right now. They're very much organized. They're very much organized. I
Okay.
see them go out
But
there.
hold on. Let me touch you if I can. If they're done with Biden, the
Mhm.
problem is, where do they go? Right? If how they're going to go someplace else if Democratic Party doesn't allow for anyone else there? No Marianne Williamson, right? They threw out Cornel West. They threw out Bobby Kennedy Jr., right? That Dean guy, he's not going anywhere, right? So everyone's getting thrown out. The Democrats are making sure it's only Biden. Where are they going to go to Cornel West? They're going to go to Bobby Kennedy? Are they going to where are they going to go? They're going to vote Libertarian. They're going to vote Green. They're going to go Jill Stein. What are you going to do?
So I spoke with some of the members in the community. They want to vote independent, definitely. Some said Bob, some said Robert Kennedy Jr. A handful did say Trump.
Yeah, sure.
It's like, and it's you know, I know you. I'm pretty sure you saw the video that went viral with some of the Bronx constituents. They're open to sitting down with Donald Trump Jr.
Yep.
Not Jr. I'm sorry, my age is catching up to me, with Donald Trump. So I'm also a tenant leader here in my building, and my tenants already approached me and they said, Lattina, we know you mean well, because I always knock on their doors and let them know, hey, there's this person running for office, only for statewide, or if it's a president election, I let them know the candidate that's run. They said, don't knock on our doors and tell us about another Democrat.
Wow.
I was, they told me don't do it. They said, if it's Donald Trump, yeah, don't ever come to our doors about another Democrat. They said, this is just disgusting the way we're living. And this is coming from retired city employees, you know, retired teachers, retired law enforcement. I can't go to their doors with a Democratic pamphlet to say, hey, vote for this person. I just can't.
Wow. Okay, there we go. Look, I mean, look, the issue is, if we have to get change out of this, right? And
Yes.
I think you see it too. I think we kind of have to do that. Let me grab a couple of these comments. Joe responded. He says, oh, hold on. He did respond to that. I just have to find it. He said, I'd say younger were more open-minded, but older were also open-minded, a little bit less so. So maybe the age gap isn't that big of a deal then. Maybe it isn't.
Depends on the district.
Okay, there we go. So Roger says, whether you want to or not, it's about getting a bag. New York City Council salary, $148,000, is more than New York legislation, $142,000. I actually didn't know that. I should have known that. I didn't know that. Yes.
It's to me, I think that's disgusting, because I know that more than half ran for office, or what they were put to run for office by the establishment, mostly to collect a paycheck and to get the title. And I'm like, whatever happened to human compassion? Whatever happened to actually, you know, advocating for real change in the community? Every time we get another, you know, handpicked candidate that's placed in these seats, the worse we are off in our districts. We're not seeing any improvement. So
yes,
the salaries, I think that, and you can agree with me on this one or not, I think that the salaries need to be reversed. If you're truly passionate about serving the community, you shouldn't worry about, I think the salary should go back to, I think it was 80,000 for the council seat, and then it was $70,000 for the assembly seat. They need to revert it back, because these people they're not active. I can only count less than 5 elected officials, the originals, who actually care, who's working so hard. But what do you do when you have, you know, a body of 20 to 25 far lefty elected officials who's going up against you to stop you from trying to push for better change in your community? You're by yourself.
Well, isn't the argument, though, if we don't give them a lot of money, well, they'll be open to bribes. So we got to make sure we give them a lot of money so they don't get bribed. Isn't that the argument?
And that's the argument, but I think that argument is BS. I mean, you have laws in place. There's charter rules in place to prohibit these people from, you know, taking bribes. I mean, in the past, when a city council was originally a part-time position, you were allowed to have a second job. So they wanted to make this into a full job, because once again, it was all about the money and less about the people's needs and what they're supposed to be doing as public civil servants. That's their title. They're not, you know, celebrities. You have politicians running around like they're celebrities, and I'm like, no, this is your job.
They
This
do it.
is your
They do more
job.
TikTok videos than I do. Absolutely. They do more
It's like,
TikToks. They do. Yeah, 100%.
dude,
100%.
they're
Yes.
running around with their own media camera, like, and it's just, you don't want to talk to your constituents. I've seen the pure disrespect that they've given to our veterans. What are we doing here? Our veterans, you can sit down and have a conversation with them. Do not ignore them. They fought for our country and they deserve the respect.
There we go. Shelley says Chuck Schumer didn't represent upstate until there was money for it in his campaign funds. Now he automatically gets money, so he doesn't represent us. But he sure to vote against rural life. You know, I think there's another issue, right?
Mm-hmm.
They're so worried about cash, and this is what Shelley's talking about, that it basically has become pay to play.
Yes.
Even though it's not officially pay to play, but it really is pay to play. You have more money, you get what you want. You don't have cash, you get nothing. So if I'm in the Bronx, all I have to worry about is keeping a couple of the people who are doing well in the Bronx happy, a couple of establishing people happy, and that's it. Everyone else I don't have to pay attention to, and I get my bag and I keep moving on. I think Roger's right. So let me ask a different question. When it's maybe a tougher one. Michael asks, what's your number one issue and solution? I don't want to put you on the spot. You have to do number one. What's in your top? Let me number one. You can do number one if you want, but just what's a top issue you're concerned about for the Bronx, and how do we fix it, or can we? Is it fixable?
The top issue is the homelessness crisis.
Okay.
So we have a lot of people in this that's being shuffled from the shelters into the South Bronx, and the shelters are overcrowded. It's overcrowded. It's not being ran properly. We have so much money being thrown into mental health, but it's not being utilized. Somebody is getting this money behind the scenes, and we know who they are. It's a lot of nonprofits, quid pro quo. We have a lot of people, a lot of elected officials whose family members, friends, or whoever is running these organizations that's collecting this money. But I'm just like, well, where is this money going? Why isn't the comptroller doing his job to making sure that there's auditing being done for these nonprofits and these agencies? Where is this money going? So homelessness is a top issue, and also the safety of the community. We have more and more pedophiles. I'm sorry, a lot of pedophiles
Is that right?
It is a fact. We have the highest number of pedophiles dumped in the South Bronx community living amongst us. And City Council just passed a bill recently. I'm not sure if it's been official yet. I have to follow up on it, where landlords cannot do background checks on those who have records. That's a problem because we have a very dense neighborhood. We have a lot of, families living in this community with children underneath the age of 14, and you're putting all the pedophiles in our community. That goes to show that our elected officials have no respect, and they have no respect for the safety of the constituents living in the community. So that is a top issue.
You really have put it stronger than I've said it, right? When I ran across the state twice, but when I met many local officials, right? Some would show up at events with me, some I would go say hi to, some would be at the same kind of fair. And what I saw surprised me. And what surprised me was how many of them actually hate their constituents. I don't mean like don't care. I mean don't like them, like are mad at them, don't like them. And I found out the reason why: they get in the way of them making money.
Yes.
They're here to make cash, and now you help. Well, you know what? Why don't you get away? I'm trying to make some money here. I don't got time to solve your problem. I got money. And that's why they're all making all this cash. And you even saying that they're actually dumping pedophiles with kids. I mean, it reinforces what I already thought. You've made me believe it even more.
Yes, it's a huge issue. Oh, believe you me, I'm not their favorite topic. A few elected officials already informed me, which was very shocking. And you make a very good point. I'm like the subject of their conversation. They hate my guts, apparently, the Bronx party, because as you said before, when it comes to their money and you calling out all the real issues and you have the facts to back it up and other people see what you see, they feel what you feel. It's like, oh, this person is getting in my way and getting in the way of my donors and the people that's giving me the money and the people that I sit down behind the scenes with. They get very pissed off about that. So you
Right.
become public enemy number one. I don't know if that was the same situation for you, Larry.
You can
When
say
you
same shit.
ran.
It's fine. I don't mind.
So I got to be careful.
No, you don't. This is YouTube. You can say shit. It's fine. No worries. All good.
Forgive me. But I don't know what it was like for you when you ran, when you called, because I did my research on you and you called out a lot of issues and not many people were happy with you on that. So
the Democrats literally changed the rules so that I couldn't run. And then when I ran anyway, the Republicans sued me off the ballot. So both of them, they dropped,
horrible.
Republicans dropped 6 figures to throw me off the ballot. They went out of their way to make sure to get rid of me. So yes, I am not their friend. And the worst part is, even the people who are supposedly independents, back and did exactly the same thing. They fell back into the old school, the old ways. It's terrible. Let me quickly grab one more a qualification. Roger says, Larry, I wasn't angry about their high salary. I was asking, can us New Yorkers get more money too? I'm with you. You know what?
Me too.
I agree. I'm with you 100%. Let's get everybody making some cash.
Well, yes.
I love that idea. So let me ask you, give me what you think is a solution or a way to get there. It doesn't have to be I know that many times these problems are intertwined and that homelessness is not a monolith. I get that. But give me something you'd want to do.
Well, so to address the homelessness crisis, give them vouchers. Why are we keeping them in shelters for long periods of time? Why are people staying in shelters for more than 6 months? I've seen situations.
What do you mean by voucher? Explain that to the people listening.
Housing vouchers. So you get a housing voucher, which will help you get an apartment, and that's acceptable by a landlord in one of these buildings that accepts the program. So in the South Bronx, we do have a majority.
Like
it's not like Section 8. Like, let's say, for example, like FEPS. So FEPS is a program where they pay your rent for up to 4 years until you get yourself back on track. Now, FEPS needs some tweaking though, because a lot of people abuse it. There's a loophole with FEPS. So with FEPS is after your 4 years is done, you have to pay I think it's like 30% of your rent, right? This is your way of getting back acclimated into society and contributing and doing your part. And a lot of people get lazy. I'm a tenant leader, so I know this firsthand. So they stop paying their rent. They're like, wait a minute, I got to pay 30% of my rent. And their rent is like maybe $100 or less, right? The program, of course, taxpayers, we pay for it. As you all know, it's a program. And I'm all for it. I'm all for second chances. I'm all for helping people. Yep. But when you abuse the system, it gets to a point like, where does it end? Where do we cut them off? Where do we say?
What you said about the 4-year thing, right?
Yeah.
If we made a way that people could be weaned off of it,
yes,
way better than just we pay for everything or we pay for nothing, which is what we almost always do, right?
Exactly.
So then someone says, well, then I'm never going to work because then I get nothing. So why would I bother? But I like the idea of weaning it off that, whatever, it's 100% for year one or whatever, and then 70% or 30, whatever, right? As it goes down to where now, okay, I got to get up there and I got to start getting myself together. And I think if we then somehow helped out, I would say small businesses.
Yes.
And the reason why my mom, I don't know if you know my story, my mom was an addict and she had trouble. She's a felon and she had trouble getting a job. And for most people who have had people who are felons in their life, they know the only places that hire felons are usually small businesses, right?
Yes.
The local franchise, the local store, the local this, that kind of thing, right? The super, right? The local landlord, they're the kind of person going to hire the person who has a record. And I think if maybe we somehow supported them in a way, like maybe I'm making this up, but I thought this idea in the past when I was running for office, it was if you hire a felon for 2 years, the business pays no payroll tax, right?
I agree.
Years. So at that point, now the business has an incentive to hire a felon because they're not going to pay payroll tax. And then if the state is weaning them off of their for their rent, now they got a shot. Now they can do something, right? Particularly if we use this for people who say are on parole or something like that, because the option is keep them in jail and drop $100,000 a year on them, or let them out and slowly pay their rent to nothing. Well, we're actually saving money and giving people a chance.
I agree with you 100%. That's an excellent plan. And I think that that's something that should be implemented into the FEPS program. The FEPS program needs to be reformed. We don't want to see people living off the system. I want to see my Black people, Black and brown, thrive. I don't want, us to get this stigma like, oh my God, like it's, hey, let's continue to give you guys repackaged welfare. Let's continue to give you guys, chickens and potatoes and make it hard for you. No, I don't want it to be hard for us. I want us to have the same opportunities, just as, the Asian community, the Latino community, they pull their resources together and they circulate their dollar within the community. We need to do the same. And this goes back to what I said. Black community, we need to think about ourselves and start fighting for our community and stop jumping in everybody else's fight, because we're always last. We're always put in the back burner. So that idea, that tax incentive is perfect. And I think we should do the same thing similar for our senior citizens, because they're in the senior citizen home or they're living alone and they want to go out and have fun, right? So I've over the course of almost 2 years now, I've hosted Senior Citizen Night Out, where we talk about mental health, diabetes, and dementia, but they also get to have fun and party, feel like they're young again, make them feel included. Small Black-owned businesses, or just small businesses in general, if they host these events or have different companies sponsor 5 or 6 seniors to go out for that night, host an event once or twice a month, they should get an incentive as well.
Well, I was thinking I had a plan for seniors to stay in New York State, which was once you hit 65, as long as you have owned a home for at least 10 years in New York State, then your property tax goes down 5% every year to 85 down to 0. So your property tax goes down. So that makes, and that would also go for a condo. It would just be a home, any home, condo or actual, freestanding building, whatever it might be. But you can also do that. You can carry that over to nursing homes, right?
I agree.
Just take your average age. Same thing on property tax. Lower that down, making people more open to do that too. You could also carry it over if you wanted to into family who brings them into their own homes and make it half. So you lose 2.5% every year if you have your elderly parents in your home. So you start lowering property tax, which lowers rent, which makes incentive to keep the family there. And again, the state doesn't spend any extra money, because right now the state is spending for all these people in the homes.
Yes.
The state will stop spending that money. More people in the community, more people at home, more people staying here and not moving to Florida to retire, right? I think it's kind of saving money in the long run.
No, I agree. That's a very, very good idea. And I like that platform. I think that's something that it can be introduced on a state and city level, but will they do it? That's the question. I mean, you have the same elected officials, the same party that's saying, oh, we want to do X, Y, and Z. But when you bring a solution to the table, you're going to get pushback. Yes. You're going to get iced out of the conversation. You're going to get blocked. They're not going to do it. I'm like, but what are we really doing here? Are you really for the people, or are you just for the interest of the party, which is the people behind the scenes?
Yes. And there's the issue. I remember I actually went, it's a true story. Last 2021, before I was going to make it my governor run, I did some polling. And it was a regular, it was a Zogby poll, many of them, 3 of them. And in 3 of these polls, I averaged 6%. I came in at 5%, 7%, and 6%. So my average was 6%. So at 6%, that was huge. I hadn't announced my run. That was just my popularity over the last 4 years from my last run. So I thought, oh my God, this is great. So like a naive guy, I went to the Republicans and said, look, I'm already polling at 6%. You're not going to win this next election. You can't. Why don't you guys just back me? I'll run as a Libertarian and a Republican. And I went to Unite Party and said, hey, Unite, why don't you also back me? And I went to Forward and said, Forward, why don't you back me? So why don't I get 4 lines? And then the conservatives would back me because they would, because there's no one else to back. So I get 5 lines to run against Kathy Hochul in 2022. Already polling at 6%, more popular than any other person running across New York State at that time, right? Who wasn't already elected.
Yeah.
Right? And they were like, wow, Larry, you're right. This is a big deal. I said, we do this. This is a winnable race. Like, we could beat Kathy Hochul. We could win.
Mm-hmm.
And if we do that, it would shake up the entire country. An independent would win New York State. The whole country shake. All my ideas, people would hear and talk. We could change New York State, change our country. And they went, wow, you're right. We're going to sue you off the ballot so you can't do that.
I remember that.
That literally happened. Yes. I thought they were about winning, or no, they were like, Larry's going to mess up our grift. We can't have that happen.
You're messing with their money. You're messing with their money. So it's you're getting in their way. And I have to ask you this question, Larry, because your policies are really good. Are you thinking about running again?
I am. I'm actually considering doing something nuts next year. I'm actually considering running for mayor of New York City.
Ooh, nice.
I'm considering it. I've not said I was going to, but I am considering it. I'm considering doing it because New York City does matching funds, and some libertarians listening are going to be mad at when I say this, but it does 8-to-1 matching funds. Mm-hmm. So raise $250,000, they'll give me $2 million.
And you're very good at raising money. I saw that.
Yes, so I can do $250,000 in New York City. I can do it. So if I do that, I get $2 million, and now obviously I can take that and advertise with it. That makes a huge impact. So
I say go for it. I think it'll be really good. I think that independents they make up the majority. I don't know if you're aware. So there's over 2.1 million unaffiliated voters in New York City, and they're all registered as independents.
Yep.
And I'm like, wouldn't it be amazing if independent voters have access to the primaries? It would be a huge game changer.
I actually call it, by the way, my program, BRO program. B, better ballot access. R, ranked choice voting. O, open primaries. Those are the three pieces to make things work. The program, better ballot access, ranked choice voting, open primaries. It will change how New York State is run. Yeah, they'll actually have to do things.
I think it'll be amazing. I think we need to see that. I think we need to push forward more community outreach. I think I do see more and more Blacks exiting the Democratic Party. Yes. And it's not just in New York, it's across the country. They're 100%. Exiting in droves. What's your take on that, Larry?
I think it's the same thing you said. They're tired of stuff just not working. They're tired of being pandered to like there's no tomorrow. And look, I didn't vote for Trump. I'm not going to vote for Trump. I'm a libertarian, but I have eyes and I can see what he did and how he spoke, right?
Yes.
And the Republican Party has been last 40 years since Reagan has been terrible at reaching out to the Black community. Just terrible.
I agree. Lazy.
They've been
lazy,
terrible. Lazy, terrible. Yes, bad.
Yes.
So finally, Trump just did something simple. He said, hey, I don't care about you any more than anybody else, but if I'm president, you'll have a job. That's all he said. And yes, and Black people said,
right.
Oh, okay, I like that. I would like a job. Yes. Yes, thank you.
Yes, I agree.
Yes,
it was like the best thing. Like, okay, we're making money. Everybody's making money. Everybody's happy, and it's just I'm not a fan of his, but I'm not going to be disrespectful. But with everything that's going on today, with everybody attacking him, I think that now the Black community can see there's something wrong. Like if they're attacking this
forward, they don't care.
Yeah.
Right.
They're attacking them.
I have a couple of friends. One is Asian and a couple are white who say, Larry, how can Black people vote for Trump? He's this, he's that, he's this.
Really?
Said,
the Asian community?
Yes. And I said, people just want to pay the rent and pay their bills. They don't care. They think everybody's corrupt. They don't think Biden's any less corrupt than Trump. They don't think it at all. They think, I don't care who's corrupt. The system's corrupt. don't care. I want to pay my bills. That's
Yeah.
how a lot of people think. And a lot of people who are in a better position, they're worried about a bigger picture. They're like, oh, he's going to be anti-democratic. He's anti this. They're like, I just want to pay my bills. I don't care.
Yes. No, I think the middle class, they kind of see what what you and I see. I think that they're concerned about safety, public safety, and what's happening with our borders. So a lot of people are afraid. So they're just like, okay, well, we can't have this guy in office because he pretty much left us wide open for any possible attacks. We're put in danger, literally. Like, look what's happening. Migrants are being dumped in the South Bronx. Okay, they're being dumped in underserved communities. They're only placed in some areas, but our shelters right now in the South Bronx, in my district, is full. It's full, and the citizens are being neglected and put on the back burner. And they literally kicked them out. They kicked them out. They're sleeping in the streets. And a lot of people are concerned about that, because what's going to happen if these people don't have jobs, if they don't have somewhere to live? What do you think is going to happen? Crime is going to go through the roof, and that's what's happening.
Yep, absolutely. And it's funny that if you go back, I don't know, 5-10 years, a lot of people didn't care about the border much at all here in New York. They were like, whatever, who cares? But all of a sudden, when now it affects us here in New York City, we're feeling it. We're feeling it in New York City, all over. And all of a sudden, like, whoa, wait a minute. And the worst part is, usually I was teased. I go, the Democrats are the party of bad answers. Republicans are the party of no answers. In this case, the Democrats are the party of no answer.
No party.
They have no answer. It's just like, well, oh, well, vote for us anyway because we don't care. You can't stop us.
Exactly.
I think that's what it is now.
Exactly. One example I want to make to you, and I think that this is going to I hope it would change the way we vote going forward. I don't know if you paid attention to the City Council District 13 race. Okay, so the Republican ran against the incumbent. She's a Democrat. She's part of the establishment. And this is in the upper part of the Bronx, over in the Throgs Neck area. Very, very nice area. And she took her constituents for granted. The party's like, oh, nobody's going to vote for Republican. Who in their right mind is going to, vote for Republican? They don't have no reach. And, I think she underestimated her constituents, and they're mostly Democrats, right? They all band together behind this Republican candidate and said, enough is enough already. All three, Democrats, Republican, conservatives, independents, got behind the Republican, and she won the election. She won. And it was a shocker.
I remember this. Yes, because it was saying it was kind of like AOC.
Yes. So
I remember. I remember. Okay.
We all supported her, including myself. And I think that's part of the reason why they dislike me even more. And that's fine. But, it was a huge, huge wake up call for them, because they're like, how did a Republican win this seat? And it was a very important seat, too. It was a very important seat.
Well, the Bronx is heavily, just so Democratic.
Yes. Very
dominated. Yes. In fact,
very.
The worst part is now, again, I'm from the Bronx, and when I ran, it was I got the least amount of votes in the Bronx by percentage. Least amount. Yes, I got 1% of the vote, like just below 1% of the vote. Very low. Lowest I got was the Bronx. The highest I got was Steuben County. I got 9% in Steuben County.
Oh, wow.
But in Bronx, I got less than 1%. Yeah, so not great.
It's not enough voter outreach, not enough education. You have candidates that's afraid to go into the NYCHA developments. You have candidates that's afraid to go and target, areas. Yes, no area is perfect. And, I always tell people, never judge a book by its cover. When I ran for office, I walked up to, the members of the community who was getting into trouble. But believe it or not, they vote. I have conversations with them. I talk to them. I ask them, why do you do the things that you do? And they tell me their situation. It's just all about, going out there, hearing their stories, doing the voter outreach, educating people. And once again, Republicans, and I think independents have a shot, but it's just go out there and talk to the community. Don't think that you're too good to go and speak to people.
So let me ask you the same question you asked me. Are you considering running again?
In the future,
Is it going to be local, like city council? You thinking about doing Albany? What are you thinking about?
I'm thinking something a little different. I think something more on the state level. I think my voice needs to be heard, not just on a local level, but statewide. I think I can make a huge difference on a state level. So I'm considering something, hopefully, maybe in 2026 or around that time for the next election, and we'll see what happens.
I like
Um,
it.
I think that I can make a huge impact on the state level.
I like that. I still think, look, running for office is really difficult. Obviously, you know it, you've done it.
Yes.
But the advantage of doing it, if you're able to get to a certain level, people do start hearing you, right?
Yes.
I don't know if you happen to see the governor's State of the State address. She's using 2 of my talking points from my website. So
I saw
yes,
it.
my campaign. She's using some of my campaign. So I'm making some impact. Clearly not enough, but some. And I think running does help. So, well, you've
Yes.
given me so much of your time. Is there something else we should be talking about?
Listen, I have time. Whatever you want to talk about, Larry, your show is amazing. I'm just so
Oh,
grateful
thank you.
that you invited me on, and this was a very, very good interview, and I'm glad that you're sharing your platform with me so that the community and just the people overall can get to know me and hear my platform and the issues that we're having here in New York City and in the community. So it's a
And there we
blessing.
go. For those who want to follow her, you can. Her link tree is in the description, both on Facebook and on YouTube, or just head over to Twitter or X, whatever you call it now, and check out Lattina Brown. If you're listening to the podcast, it's LATTINABROWN. So I want to say thank you so much for giving me a couple minutes, Lattina. I really do appreciate it.
My pleasure. And let me know if you need any help with your future run. I'm leaving the Democratic Party after this primary. I'm going independent. So I just wanted to put that out there.
There we go. I like that very much. Another independent is coming slowly but surely. We're getting more and more. Everybody else who's watching, thank you all for watching so much. I appreciate it. I will try to do a show this weekend, but no promises. But I will do something probably by Monday or Tuesday for sure. My radio show you will see on Tuesday. I will see you all very soon.